Welcome, everyone, to this Good Leadership Podcast. My name is Charles Good, your host and the president of the Institute for Management Studies. This podcast is designed to provide you with actionable insights and tools that you can use from discussing the research, stories, and background from recognized experts and practitioners to accelerate your impact in your current role. My goal is what we've discussed today will be immediately actionable and useful to you, and I'd love to hear your comments for this episode about what you're planning on implementing. Well, welcome everyone to this Good Leadership Podcast. My name is Charles Good, your host and the president of the Institute for Management Studies. This is a special edition of the podcast where I'm talking to Robynne Sherrill, who is the Director of Talent Management at Sprouts Farmers Market. So happy you're joining us today. Thank you for being on the program, Robynne.
Thanks for having me, Charles.
I'd like to start today by having our listeners get some insights into your background and especially what got you interested in this industry.
Sure. I have a pretty diversified background in human resources that spans across generalist type roles, specialist type roles, specifically the leadership development, talent management space. I've been in manufacturing organizations, Fortune 500s, private industry, and now I'm in the retail industry, grocery to be specific, and at Sprouts Farmers Market, and really enjoy this space. So have a really rich background and continuing my career within this industry.
Thank you. What do you love most about helping leaders at Sprouts grow and develop? Is there one thing in particular, or what are some of the things that really excite you about that development process?
What's really been exciting this year, Charles, is we have been on a journey to refresh our values, to continue to amplify our culture, and helping leaders really understand how to demonstrate the behaviors and how to align what they do to the culture that we are on this journey with. And so that's been really rewarding this year.
Could you go into a little more detail on some of those areas in which you're really stressing with your leaders at Sprouts and kind of what you're doing around those areas that really have made an impact on their development and hopefully changing their behaviors?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have three core values at Sprouts. It is care, love being different, and own it. And aligned to those values, we're helping leaders understand, how do you demonstrate care? How do you treat people in a way that helps to attract talent, to retain talent, and to develop them while they're here? So helping leaders really dig deep and understand, how does what I do on a regular basis, day to day, impact Sprouts' ability to attract the best talent and retain the best talent? And that's been a very intentional focus this year. It's really aligning all of our resources, tools, our partnerships, like the one we have with IMS, to really grow our leaders and advance our culture.
Well, that's great. And I know that you have many partners and you probably have a lot of internal offerings. If you could, let us know about some of those internal offerings, what you offer your leaders and at what levels they are when they can come into that development fold at Sprouts and really nurture their leadership development.
Sure. We have continuous conversations about talent at Sprouts with our leadership teams, which includes our talent review process and our performance management processes. And so having a very continuous feedback culture is important at Sprouts. What we've leveraged is individual development planning, our partnership with IMS. So we've offered for our cohort of leaders various IMS sessions that really help them to think about their growth, their leadership, their behaviors, and how they want to develop their own skill sets to align to their individual development planning. We've been very intentional about not just sending them the links to the courses, but also having sessions after the courses where they can engage with each other, talk about what they learned, their takeaways, how does it apply to Sprouts culture, how does it apply to their leadership, what could they do better, and what could we do better as an organization to continue to support that growth. So very intentional there.
Thank you for providing that. And it sounds great. I love how you're leveraging the resources that you have from your partners as well as internally and making it a very intentional offering. And with that follow up afterward to encourage behavior change, because you're in a very competitive industry. I think today Sprouts has grown to over 370 stores with over 31,000 team members. And to really differentiate yourself in this very competitive market, you need to be very deliberate, right, on your leadership practices and really those values that you're stressing, which I think you've done over time and continue to do. What would you say in terms of what you're seeing in the L&D industry, the learning and development industry, and your background that are the key trends and maybe disruptors in the coming year for your leaders and really leaders in general?
Yeah, Charles, I think one of the disruptors that we at Sprouts and all of the organizations that I've talked to with my peers is the transition into hybrid and remote work and in office work, and really trying to create a balance that supports continued team member growth. Back before the pandemic, we could have live sessions in office, everybody would be there. We're really starting to transition into more of a hybrid learning culture so that we not only touch those individuals who are present in office, but also we're considering how to offer more virtual opportunities for leaders to develop and how to create an environment in which they use their skills in a different way to make sure we are engaging team members everywhere, no matter where they are.
You're right. That continues to be a big disruptor in the industry with the hybrid workforce and remote working, how to make that the most beneficial and for companies really to get enough value out of that as this trend is not likely to disappear anytime soon. Now, when someone comes into Sprouts in certain capacities, whether they're a store manager or whether they're in corporate, when are they able to take advantage of these leadership opportunities or what levels is it really designated for?
So the good news, Charles, is we have leadership opportunities that those joining the organization are able to take advantage of right away. We have a training team and they provide in store skills building that team members from the cashier to the store manager are able to take advantage of. And also individual development planning, which is available right away. So the target for all of our resources is really to provide something for everyone. Leaders are the focus of this year and making sure that we equip them in order to advance the skills and behaviors of those reporting to them.
But that's great to know that everyone has development opportunities available to them, like you said, from the lowest level to the highest level within your organization to instill those values, to build that brand out. Because, like we talked about, Sprouts is in a very competitive industry and they're really doing things that are kind of counterintuitive in that industry because they're not selling top selling brands. You talked about a little bit about IMS. Love to kind of just dive a little bit deeper into that on how has IMS helped you in the process of developing leaders at all levels?
This has been a very strong partnership with IMS. I've been very impressed. This being at Sprouts, this has been my first experience with IMS personally. And leaders and team members coming out of those sessions always have one or two or more takeaways that they can apply on the job right away. And that's one of the questions we ask following the sessions is what one thing or two things could you apply right away? And there's always a nugget or two of information there. So we have provided the opportunity for our cohort group to participate in sessions together. And they've come out, especially when you think about skills such as thinking strategically and developing others and really their self leadership skills. They've come out of those with very good stories about how they're going to apply that and how they're going to make change in their own leadership behaviors and approaches based on what they've taken away from those sessions. So it's been a very positive experience, and I'm very grateful that we have this partnership and we're continuing this partnership into 2023. Speaks to how much impact it's made over the year.
I love that. That's great to hear. At IMS, we always pride ourselves in these curated learning experiences that are tool based, application focused, and really are designed and meant to be applied right away. So, hearing that from you, getting that feedback that there's always one or two things that they can use in their job right away means that we're hitting the mark and doing what we intend to do in helping leaders develop and really be able to integrate these tools into their workflow. What do you see in the next year, in the coming year, as some of the biggest challenges facing leadership development at Sprouts, or what are the key competencies that you are going to be focusing on to address those needs?
Yeah, some of the key competencies in focus for next year will be customer service, which we always tout ourselves on as Sprouts Farmers Market. However, that will continue to be a focus as well as holding yourself and others accountable. So the competency of accountability and driving for results. I have seen even some upcoming sessions at IMS that will help to support the learning and development for leaders in those spaces. And of course, we'll continue to lean into our values and help leaders drive results around how they care, how they own it, and how they really embrace love being different.
Is there anything that you could say that's kind of part of the secret sauce of Sprouts? One or two things that really has differentiated the brand over time that you're continually looking at and developing in the leadership that's current or the future leadership that's coming up through the ranks?
The secret sauce is our people. Our people are passionate, they are hardworking, they genuinely care about each other and about Sprouts as an organization and about seeing us be successful. We always say hashtag Team Sprouts when we post something. It's definitely this team.
That's great to hear. Building that community and that sense of belonging within your organization is so important at all levels for them to feel like that they are part of this exclusive community, part of a family, right? That they can buy into and they can fully support. For those new leaders that are coming into the fold in any organization, what have you learned through your time, through your experience, not only at Sprouts, but through other areas of your corporate life that you would say, here's a great starting point, or here's some great pieces of advice that I wish I had known when I was a new leader in my capacity?
Yeah, as a new leader, the most important piece is culture, building relationships, and understanding the values and aligning to that. Understanding what the direction, the strategic goals of the organization are, and how does what you do impact that in a positive way. Getting to know your people and showing care and concern, and not just getting things done, but how you get things done and how you bring people along in what you do. And so it's really that element of care, that element of people, putting people first. People come before leaders, right? We're all in a mode of leading and providing leadership. But when you're a leader, the people come first. And so that's what I would say.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for sharing your insights with us today, Robin. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Charles.
This concludes this episode of the Good Leadership Podcast. If you'd like to subscribe, this podcast can be found both on Apple and Spotify. It can also be accessed on the Institute for Management Studies website at ims-online.com. Until next time, remember, it's not what you know, but what you do consistently that makes a difference.